Hello everybody, great to be broadcasting out. This is from the Presses number 9, so we keep on rolling them out. And thank you to Shani Fernando, our director this morning. Okay, so I thought I'd wear my separate army t-shirt. I've no idea why I've got a separate army t-shirt, but there you go. And big shout out to all the separates. And right, so what we're talking about this morning is grammar, and that has been a staple of the life, I suppose, the writing life for many years. Basically what happened to me with grammar was that I got back from Oxford and I was sitting in my room at Waikato University. I had a job at Waikato actually. And there I was sitting in my room and I was thinking, do we really know about the way grammar works? And I started to think about sounds and parts of speech and so forth. And I did a lot of work on parts of speech and sounds. And yeah, I came up with, I think, a lot of ideas and discovered a lot of ideas too. It was more a process of discovery for me than it was a process of really telling people how things worked. But one thing I did do was get a good idea, for example, of how Bruce Briggs had set out his grammar and how everybody, I studied grammars. I really tried to get into grammar. And the upshot of that, I guess, is this book here, Te Haere, which is a grammar of Maori, and it's meant to be a teaching grammar. That is, you start with one thing that's easy to learn, you progress to another thing, hopefully that's easy to learn, to another, to another, to another. Each one easy to learn, so there isn't a big step, there isn't a great jump, which I thought, perhaps mistakenly, was the case. With a lot of Maori grammars was that they tried to do things too quickly and they did things in the wrong order and that type of thing. And who was right and who was wrong, I don't know. People like Te Haere o Te Reo. It's a good teaching grammar. It seems to work as a teaching grammar. It's got a couple of expository essays at the end on things like the Elko and the Archaic and so forth, which people like. And which again are really just summaries of other people's positions. It's not really a pedantic or a didactic grammar, if I want to use those words, it's not meant to be, and it probably is in its own way, but it's certainly not meant to be. It's meant to be an easy way to learn the Maori language. So thanks very much everybody who's bought the book over the years, and I'll be working on it again shortly to put out another version of it. Again, with that in mind, really, what happens is as time goes by, you see something that's a bit easier, or it might be a bit easier, you hope it's a bit easier for the learner, and it will be coming out again. One thing about my grammar is that it really is not exactly centered on, but it follows the work of a man called Hale very, very closely. I've always had a lot of time for Hale and his work, and the trickiest thing in Maori grammar is the verb, in my view, is the verb, not all of the art categories that are reasonably difficult. But they're really a gender system, which is like a French gender system or any other gender system in the world. And so once you've mastered that idea of gender, and you've got the 4 rules, really, it's just a question of perhaps the odd delicate point here and there. The rest is pretty straight up and down. What is very, very tricky, I believe, and what confounds most people, is the way the passive works in Maori, the way the so-called state of verb works in Maori, and the way verbs of movement work. And my contribution, I guess, in one sense anyway, has been to rediscover Hale. I did that in the 80s, and to push it. And I hear people now very often talking about verbs of movement or how that works. That has a lot to do with the way directionals are used, and from to go with verbs of movement and so forth and so on. So yeah, it gives me great pleasure actually to be talking about it. It's a little passion of mine, one of these little passions that you keep. One of the things I'd like to do, and I'm thinking of doing as a teaser, if you like, is a history, very short at this stage, history of Maori grammar. Perhaps I'll ask the people at technology.com or somewhere in the world of literary journals to expand that, because I don't believe we've really got a good history of grammar in this country. I also think that to some extent it's lost its way, the study of grammar in the country, and I think That's because I just think that there's been tendencies in the last 10 years, 15 years really, which have taken the word ill in the grammatical sense into a kind of cul-de-sac. So, having said that, I'm not here to criticise other people's work. I'm here to say why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the other thing I try to do is keep the whole thing very conversational. So, talking in cul-de-sacs, it doesn't get into a very, very complex world of vocabulary. It's not only Te Haere or as I say, some cul-de-sac that people just find themselves in talking to one another in little groups, because I think that's a danger of a threatened language, is that you threaten it even more by having these isolated little study groups or whatever who frantically talk their own tongues to one another, and it doesn't really get us further maybe. But Te Haere o Te Reo, it's available from Campus Press, and I'd love you to buy it, and I'd even love better, because it's not a book that's going to sell thousands, but it is a book that chugs along, and I'd like better, even more than you buying it, your feedback. So you don't have to actually buy it, just order it at your local library, and write in about it. Tell me things that you found good about it, or things that you found bad about it. Thanks very much, everybody, this morning. To Shani and Fernando, our producer, director, and floor manager, and everybody watching. Kia ora mai rātou koe, evening now, to see you is to love you, and I see you everywhere, in the sunrise, in the moon glow, any place I look, you're there. To see you is to want you, and I see you all the time, on the sidewalk, in the doorway, on these lonely stairs I climb. Someday, let me show you how happy endings start. You'll find how well I love you, but to know you at all is to know you by heart. To see you is to love you, and you're everywhere out of sight. And I love you, and I see you in the same old dream tonight. To see you is to love you, and you're never out of sight. And I love you, and I'll see you in the same old dream.